Okay, in this video, I'm going to be talking about transformations in symmetry. Specifically, we're going to talk about line and point symmetry, as well as the different types of transformations, translations, reflections, rotations, and dilations. So we've got some nicknames that kind of go with each. A translation is going to be a slide across your paper. We're not changing the size of the shape at all. It's just gliding across the paper. Okay. Reflections are going to be a flip over some sort of line, again, not changing the size. A rotation will be a turn about some point, and a dilation is the only time we are resizing the shape. So the shape will get bigger or it will get smaller. So with translations, these are those slides across the paper. You just move them in the directions they're telling you to go. So this is asked us to translate it 2 units to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and then 1 unit down. And then I'm going to place my dot, and this is going to be my B prime. Okay, B prime. For our second example there, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to translate 4 units right and 5 units down. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be my E prime. Going to do the same thing for P again. Over 4, down 5. My P prime. And same thing for B. So over 4, down 5. And then I'll just draw in my shape. We're going to pretend my line was straight there. Okay? So again, that's a translation. We just slide it across the paper. A reflection is a flip. So we normally flip over either a horizontal or a vertical line. Horizontal lines are going to be y equals a number. Vertical lines are going to be x equals a number. So when we're looking here for reflecting across the line y equals -2, I'm going to draw in a line at -2 for my y values. And we're going to count to the line and then count that same away from the line. So we went 1 to the line and we're going to go 1 away from the line. And that's where we're going to put in prime. For our second one there, we're reflecting across the x-axis. Okay, so that's where y is equal to 0. And as you see, M and C are on the line. So actually their prime letters will stay. The only one we've got to count is going to be B. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4 to the line. So we're going to go 4 away. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put B prime there. And then draw in our new triangle. Now, sometimes they'll ask us to reflect across an actual line, so y equals x. So this is a line with a slope of 1, and it goes through the origin. And if you don't know that, you can just plug in points, right? If I plugged in a 1 for x, I get a 1 for y. If I plug in a -1 for x, I get a -1 for y. And I'm going to draw in a line using the line tool because I'm not very good at drawing in lines to make it more accurate. All right, so there's our line. So with these are a little bit more difficult. We're going to count to the line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since I counted right, now I'm going to switch to make a 90-degree angle. And I'm going to go down. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where I'm going to put y prime. I'm going to do the same thing for I. I went over 1. So I'm going to 90-degree angle, go down 1, and place I prime. We'll do the same thing for J. So 1. My pin's going crazy. Let me try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to go down 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where I'll put J prime. And then for L, it's on our line, so it's going to stay. So L prime is there, and then I'll draw in my new shape. Rotations, we're going to turn our paper basically either clockwise or counterclockwise. So if we're going clockwise, it means we're turning right. And if we're turning counterclockwise, it means we're turning left. Now there are some rules which are kind of hard to memorize, so I'm going to give them to you, but I'm going to show you a different way to solve them. So if we're moving counterclockwise, which means we've gone to the left, we're going to switch our X and our Y, and our Y will become negative. If we're moving clockwise, we're going to switch our X and our Y, but our X becomes negative. If we're rotating 180 degrees, the X and the Y stay, but they both become negative. Now, I have trouble remembering those, so what I do is I turn my paper when they ask me to rotate it. So we're rotating 180 degrees about the origin. So I'm going to turn my paper 90, 180, and then I'm going to write down the points on the side of my paper. So T prime is at 1, 1. Y prime is at 0, 1. L prime is at 0, 4. And A prime is at 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, positive 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that I've written down my numbers, I'm going to rotate my paper back to its original location, and I'm going to plot those points. So I had T at 1, 1, Y prime at 0, 1, L prime at 0, 4, and A prime at negative 4, 4. And then draw in my shape. So let's try that again. This time we're asked to rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise, which means I'm turning to the left. So I'm going to take my paper, turn it 90 degrees, which is one turn to the left, and I'm going to write down my points. So we've got K, which is at 1, 2. We've got G prime, which is at negative 1, 2, 3, positive 5. And then we've got E prime, which is at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, positive 3. Then I'm going to flip it back, or turn it back, I should say. And I'm going to plot those points. So 1, 2, negative 3, 5, and negative 4, 3. And there's my new shape. And we've got the dilation. This is the resize. So we can either have an enlargement, which means the shape got bigger, or reduction, which means the shape got smaller. So when we solve these, we're always going to put our image over our pre-image to get our scale factor. So in order to do this, what I'm going to do is find my points on my graph. So I've got 6, -4, -6, -4, and 0, 4. And then on the image here, we've got 0, 2, 3, -2, and -3, -2. So I'm going to pick a point. I'm going to pick 4 and 2, and I'm going to put the image over the pre-image, so 2 over 4, and our scale factor would be a 1/2. The last thing I'm going to talk about in this video is symmetry. So we've got two types of symmetry. We've got line symmetry and point symmetry that we're going to talk about. There's also rotational symmetry. Point symmetry is a special rotational symmetry. So line symmetry is when you cut an object in half. So if we had a perfect shaped heart, which I'm not great at drawing hearts, so it's probably not going to be perfect, but you can cut it right down the middle and it would fold on itself. Okay, so that's line symmetry. Point symmetry is when you can rotate something 180 degrees and it looks exactly the same. So if we had an equilateral triangle and we rotated it 180 degrees, would it look the same? That's the things that you're thinking about. Now, a lot of the times they like to give you letters. The thing with the triangle, it would not work, right? Because the point would be in the opposite direction. So that would not have point symmetry. A square would have point symmetry. We turn 180 degrees, it looks the same. A rectangle would have point symmetry. They like to use letters to distinguish these. So we're going to go through and decide which ones have line symmetry, which ones have point, and which ones have both. So if I'm looking at the letter A, right, I can draw a line right down the middle and it'll fold on itself. So that one does indeed have line symmetry, but if I flipped it 180 degrees, it would not look the same. B, if you are making the B with equal tops and bottoms there, you could split it right down the middle, so it could have line symmetry. And then rotational symmetry means we turned it 180 degrees. This B would be backwards. C, we can cut horizontally through the middle. Again, if we rotated it 180 degrees, it would be backwards. D, we can fold horizontally through the middle. Rotated, it would be backwards. E, you can fold through the middle. Rotated, it would be backwards. So right now we've only got line symmetry. F has got neither. G has got neither. H, we can fold in the middle vertically and horizontally. And if we rotated this, it would have both. So I'm going to make a list down here for both. H has got both. So I'll circle H so we know that that is point symmetry. I, we can cut vertically and horizontally, and if we rotate it, it would indeed be itself. So I. J, you can't cut. K, you can't. L, you can't. M, you could cut right down the middle. And if we rotated it, it would not rotate correctly. N, if we rotated it, it would, but it wouldn't fold on itself in any way, so it doesn't have line. O, you could cut anywhere, right, because it's a circle, and it would land on itself. And O, we can also rotate. So O has both. P has got none. Q has got none. Neither does R. Now S, we can't, it will not fold on itself, but if we rotated it, it would look exactly the same. T, you can fold vertically. U, you can fold vertically. V as well, but none of those you can rotate. W, you can cut in the middle vertically. X, you can cut vertically and horizontally and rotate. Y, you can cut down the middle. Z, you can't fold on itself, but it can rotate. So there's very few letters that you see that have both. So please keep those in mind. Those are questions they tend to ask. If you have any further questions about transformations, please just let me know.